everybody. Grab your goat. On this one, grab your broom because we are going to be flying. Welcome to the Witches Movie Coven. This week we are doing Kiki's delivery service from 1989. I am Patti Negri. I am one of your hosts. This is a goat. Richard-Lael.
Yes, I am also a goat. This is my goat. Yes, Richard-Lael is one name, not two. If I were just Richard, I'd be a... Anyway, I am the gentleman psychic, and I am a movie buff and a witch and all kinds of men, and an interior decorator and all kinds of things. All kinds of things. Moving on to somebody else.
Heather.
Hi, I am Heather Greene. I am an author of Lights, Camera, Witchcraft, which I have somewhere. My office got thrown around, so it's not right here at the moment. And there it is. Thank you, Courtney. And I am also a journalist that covers the occult and witchcraft subjects, as well as an editor at Llewellyn. And I get to work with lots of wonderful authors. And I know one of those authors, although not one I get to work with, is here as part of our coven. Jason.
I'm Jason. I've written 9 books for Llewellyn, though I've never gotten the privilege of working with Heather. In my spare time, I am a whiskey enthusiast and grower of sunflowers.
I learn something every day. The sunflower part.
Yeah.
Thank you. And last and never, ever, ever least, Courtney.
That's me. I'm Courtney Buckley, ghost bait on Scared and Alone, Salem Witch, and so excited to get into this movie tonight.
Okay. Yes. Let's go. In case anybody, this was the first time I saw it last night. I had never seen it before. I'm not an animation person. I'm not an anime person. I'm just going to be quiet about this. But Richard-Lael, if somebody out there has not seen it, do you have an unbiased synopsis? And everybody in the chat room, thank you. Welcome. Talk to us. We see you there. Robert and Dumas and Mary Jane and Jason. Jason, you're our Jason. Anyway, Richard-Lael, what's this movie about?
Well, this movie is about an hour and a half. No,
there's more to it than that.
Kiki's Delivery Service is a 1989 animated film about a young girl who, at the age of 13, realizes that she is a witch and she has to go out into the world to have her own, because apparently when you're 13 and a witch, your parents kick you out like some baby bird who needs to fly away from the nest. And fly away from the nest, she does. She hails her broom and she flies, even though her mother, who is apparently also a witch, says, "Why don't you take my broom? It's much easier to fly. It's a bigger broom." Though looking at that broom, I couldn't think of a much bigger broom than the one that she flew on, but that is neither here nor there. So she flies and flies and flies. She meets up with another young witch who is a little arrogant, a little haughty, and makes her feel a little bit low. But here she is, forced to wear black and forced to fly around the world on a broom, and she lands in some faraway city that does not have a witch. Imagine a town with not a single witch, and not even one that you would even call a witch. Isn't that amazing? Like if someone were to ask me, "Hey, are there witches in this town?" I would say, "Well, that depends." I would say, I mean, I don't like my neighbor.
Oh, where are you, Salem?
Right.
In 1692?
Apparently, there are no witches. And she's trying to figure out where she is. She's got a pet cat that she can speak with, like Salem from Sabrina, but not quite. So this pet cat, who is a little bit fey and a little bit snarky and a little bit, I thought the kitty cat was a gay kitty cat, and then apparently the kitty cat falls in love with the girl kitty cat. So I guess I was wrong. You can't judge a black cat by its black fur. That doesn't really mean anything. Anyway, so they land. She lands in the city. someone drops something from a baby carriage, and the woman who owns the shop goes to run after the woman, but she is herself expecting a child. And she says, don't worry, I can do it. She jumps in the broom, she delivers this thing. And because of this, she gets a job working with this woman making deliveries. And then she meets a boy, and the biggest threat that they have, the biggest antagonist in this entire film is the wind.
You're not
the
wrong.
boy wants to fly. He also wants to flirt. He also doesn't know how to fly or flirt. And so he makes a big fool of himself. And then he invites her to a party. And then the woman at the house somehow gets them together, even though she misses the deadline. But then she gets sick because of the weather. And then somehow she saves them because the dirigible was blown away by the wind. And then everyone is happy that this Kiki is there to fly around and deliver things, even though she still lives in an attic, is forced to wear black, and has to eat porridge every day. So really, what a lovely life she leads. I'm so glad she left her home where people loved her and things were easy at 13 so that she could go off and save a boy from falling out of a blimp. Okay, great. That's the story.
Pancakes. Not porridge. Until she was sick. Thank you, Richard-Lael. Now it's clear we understand the story and the plot and the characters and the wind. Heather, I don't know if this is something that we could find in your educated brain book.
My book, no. It's a Japanese film. My brain's got some stuff on it, but not the book. So we're going back to 1989. Ironically, this came out the same year that Disney was coming back from, not to say the dead, but coming back, and the same year The Little Mermaid was released. It's a big year for animation. And this actually, like a lot of the Studio Ghibli films, was distributed by Disney, and that comes into play in a second. But this is not Miyazaki's first animated film. And I just wrote a few down that came before that. Before this film, he was working on My Neighbor Totoro. He was slated to produce this movie, but then when he didn't like some of the scripts that were coming in, there he is. And we'll mention him in a second because he just won a big award, I believe. But when he saw some of the scripts come in and he didn't like it, so he took on the director and wound up directing this as well. It's originally a book by, I think the name is Aiko Kodono. I'm not pronouncing that right. My son would be horrified. He's a Japanese studies major, so he would be absolutely horrified. But it was a book, and of course it was produced after several of his films. He actually started making films in the 70s, but he did one of the known is My Neighbor Totoro is one of the more well-known ones. And then this one came out shortly after. Of course, he had a number of major films after that, and we did one in November, Spirited Away, which was his first Academy Award, which brings me to his recent Academy Award he just got on Sunday for the Boy and the Heron. I haven't seen it yet, but that just won his second Academy Award for the 84-year-old Japanese animator who's done just a string of decades of brilliant animated films that have been popular throughout the globe. This one was not quite as popular, or didn't make as much money globally as Spirited Away. The figures are something like, I think this one got globally about 42 million, whereas Spirited Away was close to 400 million. So there's a slight difference. Other really big films by him: Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle has a witch in it. And Ponyo is another one. There's just a string. So I think the big thing to look at and that I can talk about later as we discuss is the big thing to understand about his movies when we talk about witches is how witches are portrayed in his movie is very, very different than how Disney portrays them and then how we portray them generally in animation here in the United States, because Japanese culture is very different and witchcraft is treated very differently there. And I've done a number of articles on that. I probably talked about it when we talked about Spirited Away. So that's something to look at always when we see Japanese animation and realize there's a huge difference in the treatment of this because of our cultural difference. And I think the only thing left to say is going back to Disney, the Disney version, they did change a few things. The cat talked a little bit more. We had different, Phil Hartman was the cat's voice. This was his last speaking role before he passed. We had a number of actors in here, voice actors that you would know of. Disney changed some of the music and sound, all with Miyazaki's approval. So I think, well, I could talk about the cat when I give you my opinion, but what Disney did to it was very interesting and very Disney. But that is the big thing to know about. I think just a little history and a little fun notes about it. But it's a one of his little films, but it's still a Studio Ghibli.
One of the history things that's interesting, though, is that it really wasn't released in the United States until 1998. So while it comes out in Japan, there's an English dub for Japanese Airlines in 1989, but the English dub that we all know today, and that Japanese airline dub was never shown anywhere else, but Japanese Airlines is from 1998. So, I mean, it had 10 years of sitting on a shelf before American audiences really got a chance to see it. And what's really fascinating about that is everyone I know talks about this movie, and I had not seen it until today when I finally watched it. But so we talk about it being old, but in some ways it's not quite as old as you would think because of the late release in the United States.
And it also, they actually changed it even after that. I don't know if you saw that note too, is that they like you said, they dubbed it later when it was distributed here, but then they redid it. And so the version that we see now is slightly different from the 98 version was. And so they tweaked it just a little more. I think they kind of tried to bring it a little bit back to the original Japanese one is what I understand. I've only seen the one that's streaming on Netflix or wherever it's streaming. So I don't know which version I'm seeing at this point.
I will say Kirsten Dunst is great in this movie, though. And I didn't even realize it was her for quite a while. It was like, this almost sounds familiar, but it's not quite. I'm going to have to go to Wikipedia and look it up. And she, like, one of the things I don't like about anime movies is I don't like the dubs most of the time. But they nail it on this one. This is great.
It's true.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. I'm not usually an animation person. I didn't look up the movie beforehand. I just kept going, I know that voice. I know that voice with everybody going, I know that voice. I don't know who it is. I don't recognize, but I loved it. I loved the cat. I loved her. I loved all the characters. And I didn't hate that it was an animated movie. So that's actually saying a lot. It was beautiful. I mean, the sound to me, again, since I'm not looking at real people, the sound was amazing. Footsteps. It was all about footsteps going up the stairs, footsteps going down the stairs, her little feet, whoever. The animation to me was just simplicity and brilliant. Footsteps.
I have to say I'm a huge Studio Ghibli fan, and I'd seen parts of this movie before, but I actually bought it not that long ago on Amazon because Ponyo is a big hit in the classroom that I work in. And so everything in my school life is Ponyo. I love Ponyo. And I was like, we were wondering if the kids are getting sick of Ponyo because every like movie day that we have, they want Ponyo. So I bought Kiki's delivery service to see if they would want to watch that, and we never got around to it, so I didn't get to watch it fully until today. And I have to say, Heather, to your point, you were talking about earlier about how the witches were different. portrayed differently. Like that's the first thing I wrote down in my notes was like how refreshing it was to see, you know, just the openness of the witchcraft in the beginning and how accepted she was, and they all were, and it was just the natural course of events, and then she's getting ready to go fly away onto her 13-year-old ridiculously unsupervised journey, and but like she has like the crowd of kids, and they're like, oh, and you know, they're like talking about boys like teenagers do, and whatever. But I just thought it was really refreshing, and the cat Jiji is a whole mood. So spoiler alert, my quotes are mostly the cat because he was funny and I liked him.
But you know what? I liked him, and I thought, oh well, maybe there's some representation. Like, you know, he might be LGBTQ, and
I thought that too,
because he was the way that there were he was flirty with some of the male characters, and then suddenly out of the blue, there's this little white cat that is presented as female, and I went, what?
I mean, you don't know. Maybe that's just where he ended up. He sampled samples from all the different platters and he chose that one.
Maybe you're right. And maybe, just maybe, just to make all of the liberals happy, maybe he goes to school and does his business in a kitty litter box in the school.
He might.
Oh no. Oh no, I know that story. No. You know, I kept seeing that cat outside and I was like, you should keep your cats indoors so it's not killing innocent birds and things. And this is very irresponsible of you, Kiki. Get the cat indoors. Let's stop letting it like carouse around. That little town's going to be full of black cats.
He was definitely a carouser.
Yeah.
I was more
Trouble.
worried about him though, falling off the broom. There were no seatbelts on that broom, and the way she flew and the way she had not control, I had a little cat fear that the cat was going to like crunch and burn, and then the cat was left with that big dog. I had some definite like PETA cat concern.
Well,
not PETA.
It's a different time, so I don't know what year the film is supposed to take place.
Oh,
Well,
there it is.
I have an answer for you on that one.
What year is it supposed to take place?
It's allegedly the late 50s in some otherworldly town in some European-esque town, is what it's supposed to, but it has a very Victorian or Edwardian feel.
30s.
I think Miyazaki has that in Howl's Moving Castle too. I think there's a little bit of that steampunk touch that flows through some of his films, and this one definitely has it because you have the little 50s television and the little radio she holds around her neck, but there's dirigibles floating, and there's
old cars with fenders and running boards, and big headlights.
Yeah, those 30s cars, right? I don't know.
And that was my point with the cat, is that those of you who know Mr. Satan is my car, it's listed as a 37, but it's really not. But because it's listed as a 37, they didn't have seatbelts. And, you know, you just hold on, and if you crash, you crash, and that's about it. So the cat held on.
They got claws too. Look at him. He's digging in there.
He is digging.
Kill those birds.
He's so
Yeah, there he is hanging on for dear life there. Dude, he's so silly. Like, I just giggled the whole time. He's so silly.
Did anyone else notice that the cat can understand other animals,
Yes,
yet
I
is
love that.
unable to communicate with those other animals, except the dog, I think. But like, you know, when the crows are mad at her in the movie, and the cat is like, "Oh, the crows are mad at you." Like, why didn't the cat explain what was happening? Jiji just let Kiki out to dry there. It was not very nice. It was very cat-like behavior.
Jerk.
Yeah,
That's what cats are, evil little jerks.
Yeah,
that I love so much.
I found that there were a lot of things that I watched this with my daughter, and I found like there were a lot of times I just looked at her and I'm like, why did that just happen? I'm not sure what's like. I think you put up on our when we were chatting before is why she didn't ride the broom up the stairs with that giant package. And I literally looked at my daughter. I said she could have just flew. Why did she drag it up there? You know, there's a lot of bizarro little kind of nuancy things that are you just have to question. I'm like, why is that man not talking? He didn't say anything the whole time. He just kept walking around. Is that her husband? I'm not sure who that is. And, you know, just kind of a bunch of little bizarrities that just, you know, flow through the movie. I didn't, you know, in another movie, I might have minded them, but I just didn't mind them in this movie. It's just, it's such a cute little skip through the park, this movie, that I didn't mind them. Laughed at the cat. And the one thing, getting back to the cat, is that's the big thing that Disney changed. So in the original movie, apparently the cat does talk, but he talks a lot less, and he isn't quite the disgruntled uncle that he is in this movie. So he's not quite, doesn't have that attitude. So when Disney changed it, they really tried to make it fit like a Disney companion animal that you see in all of the Disney movies. All the princesses have them. We can look at whether it's Sebastian the Crab or whether it's the raccoon in Pocahontas. And you know, I could name more, but
it's the Beast and Beauty and the Beast.
Well, no, that's more like the clock and Beauty and the Beast. Wrong one. But yeah, they always have a little companion animal. Almost every Disney character has it, and that's what they kind of turned the cat into. But it worked, and Miyazaki signed off on it, so I feel comfortable with it. And you know, it's Phil Hartman, and I'm glad your quotes come from him, because I was laughing. I laughed out loud at a number of things he said.
For real. And I feel like because it's a Studio Ghibli movie, like I am more forgiving of it because I don't think it matters, because it's beautiful to look at and it's awesome to listen to and it's fun. And no matter what, there's a message. Like I literally sat there watching it thinking, I can't wait for the message, because I know it's going to make me cry, because it's always that way for me. Like same thing, like Spirited Away. I didn't understand what was happening for the first like half of that movie, and then suddenly was like sucked in by my eyeballs and couldn't tear my eyes away. And it's same thing happens with Ponyo. Same thing happened with this. It was like, you know, at first I couldn't, like, Kiki was like, okay, she's gonna be, if she talks like this the whole time, she's gonna get on my nerves because she was like crazy. But then I forgot all about it because dirigibles and the cat and everything else. And I was rooting for her. But then there's those like small moments, like she just wants to be accepted so bad. And like, it's almost like she's trying to prove herself so hard that you don't understand that it's like that acceptance within her too, to prove to herself. But then you watch her, you know, where they hung the bread sign in the window, and they were like so proud, like sitting there looking and waiting for her to see it, and then they see her see it, and she's like so excited, and she runs in and hugs the maybe husband guy. And it's just like little things like that where it's like it tugged at my heart, and I didn't care about any of the other things. Like I don't care that her voice bothered me in the beginning, and I don't care that she was whining in the beginning, because it all was okay. And I also, can we talk for a second, please, about the boy? Because he was a stage 5 clinger. That was stalker behavior, and he was a walking red flag.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have to say about him, because that was a lot.
Speaking of boys, I actually was confused by the maybe husband at first, thinking, oh, the same thing. Is this going to be an older man love interest or this or that? And why is he so quiet? And he seemed creepier than a little boy who seemed like a 13-year-old boy who's more of a stalker and doesn't know how to talk to a girl. That didn't creep me out as much as the older guy who was just there, until we figured out he was probably maybe the husband.
I mean, I have a 13-year-old boy who is not as he's silly and he is cringy, but he is not like spy in your window creepy, and this kid definitely was spy in your window creepy. This is like, I'm gonna find out where she lives.
And then the woman that is supposed to be her friend has her delivered to this boy's house without telling her. Like, how awful is that? There's a reason she doesn't want to go. That's so, I mean, yeah, it ended up okay, but oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
I kept waiting for conflict throughout the movie. So Kiki keeps going to these places and interacting with these adults And I'm familiar enough with anime that I expect one of the adults to like grow a tentacle all of a sudden and like wrap her in the tentacle or something horrible and terrible. And instead she just has tea with old ladies. You know, she becomes friends with a reclusive shut-in who lives in the woods, who has no friends, and decides that, hey, I'm a 30-year-old woman. This 13-year-old kid is going to be my new best friend. But I kept waiting for something terrible to happen, and it never did, which was nice, but also kind of disappointing because my anxiety would go up, and then like nothing would happen, and it would drop right back down.
I had that anxiety.
That's it.
I had that anxiety when she got to the old lady's house.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, you see the oven, and she's this is going to be reverse Hansel and Gretel right now. This is totally going to be. And I even said it out loud. I said, "Oh, this is not good. This is not good." So I assumed that was going to be a reverse Hansel and Gretel situation. And my daughter said to me, she goes, "I know." She goes, "What is it with Studio Ghibli movies and old ladies that are creepy?" I said, and that's true. There is something there that pervades it. But I think what's interesting, and this gets to the witchcraft, the way the witchcraft is treated in these movies, is that Studio Ghibli doesn't do the binary black and white, evil and good that we're used to seeing in Disney films. You don't get it. Wizard of Oz was done the same way. It was reduced to this binary black and white, whereas the original book was not. And so Studio Ghibli doesn't do that. And Studio Ghibli's journeys are beautiful. They're journeys, they're personal journeys, they're spiritual journeys. And the conflicts are usually in the characters rather than external, like you would see in a Disney movie. So it makes it, and this one is particularly light. I agree with Jason. It's particularly light on conflict because it's a sweet story. It's a little bit different. It skips. Rather than, you do get some conflict with Howl's Moving Castle, but then it settles itself and it turns on you, and so you don't really have that binary. And it's and that's the way it treats witchcraft. Witchcraft is not evil, like you said, Courtney. Witchcraft is not evil. It's who uses it. If you use witchcraft for good, it's just there. It's just that spirituality, that witch. It's nothing. It's not an issue. But if you use it for bad, then you're bad. It's not the witchcraft that's bad. It's a very different take. And you know, we're looking at a culture that is less than 2% Christian. It's an animist culture. Many people identify as Shinto and Buddhist, and that's not necessarily religious. It's the way of the kami, as what Shinto is. So I've done a number of articles on this and how witchcraft is treated there, and it's not an issue the way we have it here. So you don't wind up with that binary evil and good generally, and then also related to witchcraft, which is so refreshing to see this little witch, you know. But
as a witch, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
As a witch, she kind of got the short end of the stick for the powers. I mean, yeah, it'd be great to fly around on a broom and talk to cats, but that's the only thing she can do. Like, she can't twitch her nose and make the time go slower, or you know, do a little blink and make her husband go off to NASA or something, you know? Like, she doesn't. Right. She talks to one cat, and she flies on an old broom. Like, that's her only power.
So I'd argue that that's the only powers we know about, because she's only 13 years old. She set off to do her year of training to find her skill to grow her powers. And I feel like, just like Heather was talking about, like all the conflict, she got in her own way the whole time. And so that was the conflict, which didn't make sense or click to me until the very end, but still, like, that was what she was fighting against. And then it's that coming to power moment where she believes in herself, she knows she can do it, then she does it, but then that's when the movie's over. So we don't get to see her grow. And I just love this movie, and I will come to defense of it, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I think in Kiki's Delivery Service 2, maybe
there's
in the angsty teenage years, like the later teenage years, maybe she starts to use her powers for other things, and we just haven't seen that yet.
But there is no
question. Go ahead, Patty.
there was no spell casting or anything. I thought that too. It was a little light. She had the broom, she had the cat, but there was not like, let's cast a spell or let's mix a potion or anything like that at all. The other girl, the little mean girl witch, she was a psychic reader. You know, that was her gift, and she knew, and no spell casting.
Well, Kiki's mom did the potions, yeah, and said that she hadn't had the time to teach her yet.
Right.
But they go back home after that year.
Mm-hmm. So I have a
she
question.
She loses her ability to talk to cats, though. Right at the end, right? That's the thing. Like, she can't talk to the cat anymore.
Can't
because
fly.
the cat is really just supposed to be like her conscience and stuff. And when she comes into her own power, she no longer needs the cat to tell her what to do.
And that's my question. That's exactly what I was going to ask, because the original film, apparently she does lose her ability completely to talk to cats and it's over. And I guess that's from the book, and that is sort of a metaphorical thing. But apparently in one of the versions, the Disney, she actually gets to talk to him again at the end. And so I don't remember her talking to him at the end of my version. So I'm guessing the version we watched then, because if nobody saw the version where he talks to her again at the end.
I saw that one.
You did see that one?
I did.
So that must be the 98 version. And then the 2010 version, when they redid it, they took that out again. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I might have just missed it, to be honest. I
liked that she talked to him, the cat again.
I did too. I remember her talking to the cat again, so I must have seen that one, and that made me happy.
And I will say this, that as a witch myself, my magic power is I do talk to cats. I mean, I talk to them anyway. Hello, kitty, 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 kitty. Oh, look at it. And then that's when they hit me in the face. But I forgive them because, they are our masters.
I don't remember her talking to the cat at the end. I know she looked at him and he kind of looked at her, but he didn't talk again.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was really cognizant because I was looking to see if that was regained at the end. And I didn't hear any more Phil Hartman, which made me sad.
Yeah, I was sad too. I'm like, I wanted her to talk to him again, but I guess either I missed it or I didn't see that version. I'm glad somebody.
Well, I watched it. I don't remember where I watched it, but all of the comments in the section were, I don't like this version. I hate this version. They chopped this and they changed that. And I don't like the soundtrack and I don't like this. And I went, well, I kind of like it, but I haven't seen the other version, so I don't know.
I was
it would
hoping.
Be nice if it said. Go ahead. Sorry, Jason.
I was hoping Jiji at the end would say, I'm here to pump you up or something like that, which is a really old joke and shows my age. But that would have been great. That would have been awesome.
Oh, it's a sweet film.
Very sweet film. I enjoyed it immensely.
I also, Heather, had that moment where I thought she was going into the oven. I fully thought, I was like, girl, get out of there. Like, do not let that lady close the door. And then I was like, oh, okay, I guess not. But I thought that was, and then I thought Jiji was going to save her, unlike what Colin said in the comments there. Hold on, where was it?
See, I calmed down when they showed the scene, the shot of the second woman, not the aunt or the grandma, her friend on the broom doing the that. I was like, okay, so this is okay, this is safe. When they showed her, I laughed out loud too because I was hysterical. She was pretty funny.
Colin said, of course, being a cat, if the child ended up in the oven, the cat would want to know what time dinner would be ready, which is so true.
Not my babies.
I was a little worried that the dirigible is going to go up in flames. I mean, whenever you see breaking dirigibles, all you see is that original from whatever, 1940s.
The
Hindenburg disaster, yeah.
30, what was it, 38?
Wow, what an odd choice for an animated film.
That's what added that strange kind of you kept saying, what year is this? Why are there giant dirigibles floating through? What first I said, wait a minute, they're not in Japan. This is not Japan. Look at the yet
architect.
it was, everybody had Japanese names and they did things the way, I mean, Japanese culture was pervasive everywhere there. But at the same time, that was definitely supposed to be like a Stockholm type, Sweden type city. And then you had the strange time anachronistic things. And I'm like, okay, I give up. My brain finally said, okay, I'm not going to try to place this movie in space and time because it's all over the place at this point. But it was fine and it worked because of the way it was. It worked. It didn't. It's weird. A lot of things in this movie might have bothered me in other movies, but it did not bother me in this movie. He made it work and flow with all its little idiosyncrasies, I think. So. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Anything else, or are we up to quotes? Perhaps?
Who authorized the launching of that dirigible, though? That's what I want to know. That
Right?
was unsafe and it was irresponsible, and the captain should have said no. Some official, some authority should have said no. We're keeping this on the ground, and instead, boom, destroyed large parts of the city. That irreplaceable, beautiful clock tower, which you knew was going to factor into things at some point, because they always made a point of pointing it out. Just whoever the administration is of this country or city, whatever this is, F. Just you get an F. You get a failing grade.
Yeah. Well, the fact that they were calling it a dirigible, I feel like definitely, because I grew up calling them blimps, but reading about dirigibles in books.
It's a completely different thing. I mean, blimps, I think, do they have the same structure? I don't think so. Do they?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's what we called all of it. Blimps.
Yeah. We did too. We called them blimps.
Yeah.
We didn't call them dirigibles until you read about them in a book somewhere.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right. Especially kids.
Yeah.
Right.
They're
Well, I don't know. Aviation nerds might have, but I didn't know any aviation nerds. So.
Blimps.
Well, that's because you didn't fly with the right kind of witches who clearly know how to fly on brooms.
Clearly, the stalker little 13-year-old boy witches.
The stalker witch with the windmills and the winds and the killing of the birds.
1950s trying to invent an airplane. It's so confusing. So confusing.
I mean, in fairness, it was Joey Lawrence. I mean, you got to keep your expectations low. I kept wanting to hear him go, "Whoa, Joey," or "Whoa, Kiki," you know.
Whoa.
Because they were famous people, I was looking for extra things, like the Phil Hartman quote, the Joey Lawrence quote. That would have been great, but no, they didn't give that to us.
Well, that's not coming from Japan, Jason. You have to wait till Disney remakes the movie.
What about me, Heather? What about me?
Always about you, Jason. I know.
What about my needs? Whoa.
Let me get Miyazaki on the phone and discuss your complaints.
Whoa, dirigible. I mean, that would be great. Whoa, witch. I mean, there's so much you can do here. There's just so much.
Oh, I would love to see that picture again. Can we just celebrate Miyazaki one more time since he got the award?
Look at that.
Yeah. And then all of the different characters from all the different, I can see the ones that I've seen so far. Oh, there's Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle and Ponyo's there. Oh, and the little guys in the white over his shoulder that's from Princess Mononoke. They're the nature spirits, and they're adorable. You have to watch that movie there's such a environmental animist feel to that movie. It's so beautiful. No witches in that movie, but it's a beautiful film. Beautiful.
I love that look on his face in that picture is how I feel when I watch Studio Ghibli films.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
I'd have liked the two that I've seen on this show. So there's that.
You got to watch Ponyo.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm scared to watch things that you truly love, Courtney.
Jason,
because
you're on real. I would be so careful. You are on real thin ice with me. Okay.
I'm just, I keep this now at the desk when we do the show, just for you. Because I'm scared of you now.
If we're gonna go off on that tangent for just a second, I would just like the audience to know that I am now in possession of a screenshot in which Jason Mankey admitted that Your Highness is the best movie we've covered. It exists. I got the receipts, and that I know was just to avoid the hexing, but I'm pretty excited about it.
Richard-Lael.
Someone asked you they're all. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm just sorry because Robert said oh, he's back. See, I was Robert. We didn't lose him. He was just lost for a minute.
You say his name and he is invoked. And there he is.
Say my name 3 times.
Witches. Anyway, now are we up to quotes yet?
Oh, I can definitely. I have a lot. So
Good.
Give me 1 second. Let me get them up here. Like I said, they're mostly the cat. So when they were flying and they saw the other little witch right when they left, and he was trying to say hi to the other cat that was on her broom, and the other cat was like, no, thanks. And so he goes, well, she was a snob. And did you see that cat? I was like, immediately, I love him. And then when all she wants is to move, she kept saying she wants to find a city by the ocean. She wants to see the ocean. And they pop out of the train and there's the ocean. And she says, Jiji, you got to come see the ocean. It's beautiful. And Jiji says, big deal. It's just a big puddle of water. Love that. Love that attitude. And my all-time favorite that I feel like I'd like to adopt because it just is in my spirit. He said, look how many people there are. Or she said, look how many people there are. And he said, too many if you ask me. Because yes, always. And then the one that does not involve the cat that I have here involved her calling out the stalker boy. Because she says, it's very rude to talk to a girl before you've been introduced and before you know her name. And he goes, oh, you're very old-fashioned. You sound like my grandmother. Like, take a hint, pal. Back off. No, when they walk in the apartment, and Jiji goes, well, this is quaint. Like a disaster. And then he's trying to like make eyes at the little white cat across the way, and then she doesn't want anything to do with him. So he says, pardon me, Miss Snooty Cat. And then they're going up to make her first delivery, up. And he's like, how high are we actually going to go right now? And she was like, well, I want to be right on target, whatever, and make the delivery. And he goes, well, don't look now, but that's an airplane flying under us. So I thought that was great. And then when the crow attack is happening, he says, frankly, I think this is a major insult. Crows used to serve witches and do what you told them. And then the painter with the stuffed cat, oh, she says, that painter with the stuffed cat said she wanted to do a painting with me in it. And Jiji immediately goes, naked?
That was great.
There's some weird. No, that's creepy though. I'm sorry, that's creepy. She's 13. That's
funny.
creepy.
It was so funny.
Oh, and then one more that does not involve the cat. It, again, involves her talking to the creepy boy, and she says, at first I thought you were a clown. And then finally, the moment that it all started to make sense for me, and I'm gonna bring it down just for a second, but she said, if I lose my magic, that means I've lost absolutely everything. And that rang true in so many different ways for me, because whether or not you are a witch or you practice witchcraft, it's magic everywhere. Everything is like all the things that you see that are magic, that bring that spark to your eyes and the fire in your heart. And if you lose that, you have nothing. And so to me, that was like the moment where like it took my breath away and I fully understood the whole point of the whole movie. And it was like, oh my God. And I have goosebumps, right? I don't know if you can see them, but I have goosebumps right now, even just talking about it. And I thought that was beautiful, because if you lose the magic, what do you have? So those are my quotes.
I thought it was really sweet when she couldn't fly her broom anymore. And she's like, I remember when I could fly, I had to go back into herself. I mean, there were some really sweet moments on that.
Yeah. And it had in those sweet moments, and all the little all of the little pieces are so small and little and just put together so beautifully on this backdrop. The way they do the animation, there's just a beautiful painting like quality to some parts of it, and then the very simplistic anime style that they layer on top of that creates just it's really beautiful. It isn't as showcased in this one as it is in some of the other ones like Spirited Away and some of the later ones, but it's there, and you have like the subtlety of the footprint, the footsteps, and the little bit of, it's just the way it's done is so different from Disney and so just so lovely that I was blown away the first time I saw a Studio Ghibli film after being a huge animation fan, Disney fan. I was like, whoa, this is animation art on another level. Beautiful storytelling. If someone asked what our favorite Studio Ghibli films are,
yes, let's do it.
My favorite would be Spirited Away, and my second one is Princess Mononoke. They might be tied. They're absolutely gorgeous films, but I haven't probably seen as many as Courtney Buckley has seen. So, Courtney Buckley.
I've only seen 3.
Oh, okay. I figured you had seen them all. Okay.
Nope. I've seen bits and pieces of all of them, but I haven't sat down because it's such an experience that like you have to really be in the headspace to watch it for the first time. My favorite, obviously, Ponyo. It's the greatest love. Again, that movie makes me believe in love. It's so pure and beautiful, and I love that as love story. And then Spirited Away is just mind-blowingly beautiful. So Ponyo all the way to the top, and Spirited Away like just under. But Kiki, I like Kiki too. Richard-Lael?
Well, I've only seen 2 of them. And so Spirited Away definitely I felt was better than this one. But Spirited Away was, I think that would be my favorite one Ghibli film.
Yeah.
Jason?
I've only seen 2. I'm just like Richard-Lael. I liked Kiki's better. I thought this was, having not giving my rating yet, but I liked this more than I liked Spirited Away. So this is my favorite right now.
Okay. And was I here when we did Spirited Away?
Yeah, you were here.
You were here.
If you remember, it's the one with the dragon and the little the creature that kept going
Oh yeah, that was good. I'm like, wow, my memory is gone. I'm going to go with this one because it's fresh in my mind. I think I enjoyed that one too, but I must have enjoyed this one more. This one.
I urge everybody who likes this style film to again see Princess Mononoke. There's no witch in it. Howl's Moving Castle has a witch in it, but it's a big and it has that environmental a message that really will ring true with a lot of pagans and witches. It's gorgeous. So I do urge everybody to go check that one out if they have time.
Okay, thank you. And now I guess we're moving on. Jason, do we have a Mankey movie minute?
I did something a little different this year. So you have to imagine me visiting Kiki and her parents, giving them advice. All right. So a little role playing here. Hi, Kiki. I hear you want to be a witch. I've got some tips for you and your parents on how to make your witchcraft adventures super effective. Number 1, leave home at the age of 13. If you are a witch, don't worry. Child Protection Services will be completely fine with both you leaving home at such a tender age and your parents' decision to let you do so. The neighbors will most likely come over to celebrate your leaving, too. It's one less mouth for your parents to feed. Good riddance, Kiki. Number 2, have only a basic understanding of how to ride a broom. Remember Child Protective Services? They also won't care that you really don't know how to use your chosen means of transport. And don't worry, Mom and Dad. It's not child endangerment if it's a witch riding that broom. Number 3, move to a foreign city, completely unprepared. The most effective moves are the ones where you have no job, no shelter, and no food waiting for you. Just jump on that broom you can barely drive and hope for the best. Be sure not to pack a change of clothes, too. You'll want the ripeness of your robes to announce your presence to everyone else in town at all times. Number 4, remember, only one witch per town. All cities have a very strict one witch rule. If there's another witch living in the town you wish to settle in, you'll have to either find another town or fight that other witch to the death. You're 13. Don't worry. You can handle a duel. You all already are living away from home. Number 5, you can trust every stranger you meet. Meet a couple running what looks like an unsuccessful bakery? They will most certainly let you move into a sparsely furnished room in exchange for being their indentured servant. Get to work, Kiki. It's going to be fine. Number 6. All adults are trustworthy. We promise. If you meet an artist living alone with a murder of crows in a forest deep in the woods without running water, this is someone you should probably make your new best friend. And if she suggests you hitchhike with her out into the country, this is something you should do too. It's not weird at all that an adult woman wants to hang out with a 13-year-old girl like they are longtime best friends. Number 7. Cats are great traveling companions. There is no place your cat would rather be than on the end of your broom high up in the air. Cats are known for their patience and their adventurous spirit. And once you get settled in your new town, be sure to let your cat outside to have its own adventures. Your new town will love that you have populated it with a new brood of feral cats. Go get them and go knock them up, Jiji. And finally, number 8. Actively try not to make friends. There's no better way to get established in a new town than to be rude to everyone your own age and actively turn away from the only person who seems to like you. And when that person acknowledges other human beings, be sure to get all upset for no reason. This is called puberty and will be a curse for the next 7 years of your life or so. Oh, the lessons you'll learn. I hope you found these hints useful, Kiki. Good luck with your witchcraft journey.
Jason, I'm crying. Oh my god! First, the ripeness of the robe got me.
Well, we called that one out too. We were like, why doesn't she have any more clothes? It's so weird.
Don't even try to make friends.
I had lots of thoughts during this film. As much as I enjoyed it, there were still lots of thoughts.
It certainly was.
Oh, I'm gonna need 5 to 7 business days to recover from that. That was so funny.
All right, and on that note, it is time to vote. Okay, everybody, we want to see you guys in the chat room. One's up, one's down, one's neutral, one's woggly. Up, way up, and slowly going down. We're
No, it's okay. It's neutral. It was cute. It was sweet. It was a little too sweet. I hated that there was no. She was the main aggressor was the wind. I mean, I don't know.
Okay. Well, so in the chat room, one's up, up because they're happy. I think everything in the chat room that I've seen is one's up. So you're wrong, Richard-Lael.
Well, then in that case,
placid. No, it was.
Taste is subjective. It's okay.
Yes, very much subjective.
Jason, you're one to talk.
I'm just trying to dig myself out of holes is really what I'm trying to do right now. Remember, Courtney, taste is subjective.
No. So I'll excuse Richard-Lael, but I don't excuse you.
We appreciate everyone. You guys are great. We love your comments. We love that so many of you guys come prepared and watch the movie with us. That is ridiculously awesome. And what are we watching next week?
The Crucible, 1996.
No animation there.
No animation. Something totally different.
I feel a little something
Courtney
coming on. I might not be here next week.
No, you have to be here. This is it. We're gonna need you to stand up for Salem.
Stand up. Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to because we're just gonna save it. So
yeah.
So everybody needs the Crucible. And we didn't do much of a check-in in the beginning. So everybody who wants to say, I always see what Rob pops up on the screen, but he hasn't. So who wants to go first? What do you have coming up? Richard-Lael, your head just got bigger.
Be me. So this is the gallery. This is from some of the paintings I did from Scared and Alone. Back, by the way, every Friday night where Ms. Courtney Buckley is ghost bait. And of course, this Friday we will be at the Alley Theatre. I don't know anything about it, but we will be at the Alley Theatre. And I teach at University Magicus on Saturdays. I'm also here in New Orleans. I am thegentlemanpsychic.com if you want readings. Yeah, that's about it. That's what I do.
Thank you, Courtney.
That's me. So last week, I don't know if you guys know about this there in the chat. Yes, you can see me with my hair down, Jason. I did a little crossover episode on Scared and Alone because Clayton made an appearance. I feel panic. That's maybe not all the way mine.
Ask if it's Clayton. Some people are saying, is that Clayton?
It's not Clayton. It's the Christmas tree that they're saying is Clayton because my favorite movie is.
Isn't that Clayton? Maybe you saw a face on the top of that Christmas.
No. So that was fun. And yeah, we're doing it again this week. And you know what? I just would love everyone here to validate me because I thought that like just a hot second. I looked when the lights turned on. I was like, oh, I saw something over there. It's a Christmas tree. And I was like, the Killing Tree. But I held it together and I thought, you know what? This isn't the audience for that because this is not where we talk about that. And then the chat brought it up anyway. And then I got to explain it. So I withheld.
You have a fan base, Courtney. That is good. All right. Heather.
I am leaving in 2 days to go to Paganacon in Minneapolis, where Jason's going to be there as well. So I get to see him in 2 days. And it's a great 3 days. Other than that, I'm around here. I'm at heathergreene.net writing articles. I've got a number of assignments that I'm going to be doing and or that I'm working on, I should say. And other than that, I'm getting ready for Mystic South and doing my thing here in Atlanta. I do have to add one thing. I forgot to bring it up earlier. We just about real quick, the show last week. I totally forgot to mention this, is that the show last week we did on Book of Shadows. My brain's twitching out here, glitching out. The Book of Shadows.
Blair Witch.
Blair Witch, thank you. I'm having a moment, and we talked about how the Wicca stuff was so good, so accurate and on point, and how that was impressive. Well, it turns out someone I know, the person who actually wrote the foreword for my book, was an advisor on that. Didn't get credit. So Peg Alloy, you did a great job. She did advise on all of that stuff. So I just wanted to give her a shout out there. And to let everyone know there was a Wiccan advisor on that movie. So I'll just let that go there. So other than that, I am can't wait to see you, Jason. In a couple days, we're gonna have a great 3 days at Paganacon.
Yay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm leaving for Paganacon tomorrow morning. I think I have to get up at 4 a.m., which is already like making me nauseous to my stomach. So I'll be in Minneapolis this weekend. And then 2 weeks later, I will be in Maryland outside of Baltimore for Sacred Space. And then in Tennessee for the Pagan Unity Festival, which is one of my favorite outdoor festivals. And then in North Dakota at the end of May to June. I'm sure all of you are going to get on a plane and meet me in Anna Moose, North Dakota. So,
Welcome.
Oh, that would be great. I would love that.
And Courtney.
We already did me.
Oh, I thought so.
Well, we have Scared and Alone coming up. That was all mine. But then I did my clip. So Patty.
Okay. Scared and Alone. Okay, me. Yes, University Magic. I teach on Tuesdays. It's our online magic, spirituality, and all things occult and weird school. Very affordable. Check out magicu.org. My podcast is The Witching Hour. Drops a new one every Monday in audio everywhere you can get it, in video on my YouTube page. Find me at pattinegri.com, where you can get all my legitimate Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, though I am still hacked on Facebook pro page. It is there, but I have no access to it. And I have a brand new personal page, whether it's temporary or not. We will see. I have coming up, I will be in Arizona at Globe, Arizona, in Globe, Arizona at the Globe Paracon next month, and then all sorts of things going up in June. So go to my website and see, because I'm traveling also. May, join me in Romania. That's the one you have to know about now, because you got to get a passport and it takes a while. So Romania in May, we're going to that forest. We're going to castles. So yeah, come on down. And everybody, it is that time. We have one more thing to do. I wish we had brooms with us. We could have ride the broom and do some.
Oh.
1, 2, 3.